Hi everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. So I'm Dan Paul, usually doing the Maya tutorials, but this time we're going to do something in After Effects. So this is for first time users of After Effects, no experience at all. If you've done Photoshop before, it's very helpful, but I'm going to start here in Photoshop. So if you look at what I have here, I basically just have a document with several layers in it that we're going to bring into After Effects. So you can think of After Effects as like Photoshop with movement added to it. There is a timeline, of course, in Photoshop. It's not going to be nearly as robust as what you get out of After Effects. So, but anyway, so here is your I have a text layer, so I did that by making texts. I made another layer just here by making a gradient sphere. And then another layer here in the clouds, and then a gradient background. So I can step through how I made this real quick with you, and then we can go ahead and go on to After Effects. So I'm basically just creating a HD doc, and then in the background I just sort of made a gradient. So what I did was you could either just use like a layer style, or you can make a gradient. So let's just go ahead and make like a gradient from like a blue to sort of like a sunset-y color, something like this, maybe a little bit more orangey. And then I'm just going to jump over to the gradient tool, and then I'll just draw. So you want to make sure this is not on the transparent mode, but on the solid mode here. So I'll make sure that I have this selected, and I want to go ahead. So right now it says opacity at 48. I want it 100%. And then I'll just kind of drag there. So also I have it on radial now. I don't want it on radial. I just want it on linear. So let me do that again. And actually I want to go top to bottom. So this is a little too saturated. I might want to change these colors a bit too, just so it looks more like a sky. And then maybe this will be a little bit more orangish, right? Sort of more get that sunset effect. And I'll just draw it the other way. All right, so now to do the clouds, I just really created a layer, and and you can do this with like, just like a white, and maybe with like a gray if you like. And then so on this new layer, I just called it sky or clouds. Let's just call it clouds. Not cluds, but clouds. Okay. All right. So the way I did that was I just used the filter. So I went up to filter, and I did render, and I did clouds. And so I probably want to do difference clouds. So let's go to filter, and then we'll go render, and we'll do difference clouds. So I'll do just do the regular clouds. So there we go. And so to apply that, to see if we go into screen here, so, or if we, there's a number of transfer modes here you can use, but so you can try some of the different ones. Like darken does the opposite what I really want, but I can go ahead and do like I can do instead of darken, I can do like multiply, but the one I really want to use right now is a screen. So you'll see the screen takes out all the black. Now ideally if I did this with just say black, and let's do the render clouds again, filter clouds, and so then I get a better effect because the screen takes out the black, but it didn't really take out the gray. So anyway, I could kind of make layers out of this if I want. So you could either just go ahead and make like a gradient here, or rather a feather here, and maybe make your own clouds and sort of draw them. And I'm not really doing a fantastic job here. I'm just kind of putting this together for the demo, but you can make this cloud layer, and I'll just hit Control J. And so now I have a layer of just these clouds. And again, they're not looking too realistic or anything, but I can kind of play with these two as independent layers. So like if I make this lower in opacity, you know, I can animate these clouds later. So I can take these clouds and sort of animate over here. Now you notice there's just some clipping in the edge there, so I might want to take that out, you know, and kind of delete that edge there. And the same on the other side. So I'm going to go to the other side, and actually it looks okay on both sides. So anyway, I can duplicate that cloud later and animate it. And so the last thing I want to do is make sort of a text. So I'll go ahead and make a new layer, and I'll just call this, actually I'm just going to use a text tool because it will already make a new layer. So I'll just type out some text, and I'll say blue sky. Now you'll notice that it's in white. It's very hard to see. So I'm going to want to scale that up. So I'll go to free transform, scale that up. So the idea behind this is just bring this into After Effects and make some sort of a logo effect. Now I'm going to add a layer style to this. So I'm going to double click. Way to do that is double click on the layer and go to styles, and I'll just use one of the existing styles. So there's sort of one that has this sort of chrome looking effect. You know, so there's a few of them that you might want to play around with. You can use any of them really, but I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to modify it a bit. So I'll go back into it actually again, and I'll make a stroke. So it's looking a little blurry there too. So let's go into the gradient layer and maybe scale the effect a little bit more so it's not so blurry. And I can go ahead and kind of do things like this too to sharpen it a bit, and move the gradients closer together. And then I'll add like a stroke to this too. So I'll add a stroke just so it's a little more visible, and we'll want to do that on the outside. Okay, and make a sizable stroke there. So, and you know, you could change the opacity of that gradient a bit if it's too harsh, right? You might want to change that and getting more of a reflective color, right? And say okay. Okay, and now we're all set to go into After Effects. You're going to want to save that. Now you notice I also made a typo here, so I'm going to fix that. I said blue sky, so we're going to want to say blue sky. So I'll go back here and look at. I probably want this a little bit more. It's like not really enough. Okay, so there's my logo. Anyway, it's a little bit of a cheesy logo or anything, but it doesn't matter. You're going to go ahead and you're going to make your own logos and make them look super sharp. So anyway, there's the logo. I added a space in there, and I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then we'll come back into After Effects.